Hey everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back. So my name is Katie if you're new, and I'm going to be doing update number 8 for my Pan Those Eyeshadows. It's September, it's time. So I have actually more progress than I thought I was going to have this month. For those of you guys who don't know, I did have surgery in mid-August and that took me out of commission for like a good 2 weeks, and I've been back to normal for like a week or so, week and a half-ish. So I have more progress than I expected to have, which I'm pretty happy about. So I am looking forward to sharing that. Before I get into it, I do just want to note that I think my numbers might be a little bit off this month. I did film this update about a week and a half ago, and then I just sort of wasn't feeling like the lighting and the audio, so I decided to refilm. It's taken me a week and a half because my summer course put basically all of our written work on us both assigned and due within like 5 days, so that's been fun, but I'm through that now. So I did go back and like try to reconstruct as best I can, but there are a few numbers that I'm a little suspicious of, but we're gonna go with it. So anyway, so that's the intro. Let's talk about my items. So I'm gonna start off with my Rare Beauty concealer. So I rolled this in last update. I have used this 17 times, and honestly I think it's sitting ever so slightly below the line. It's really hard to tell. This is pretty thick, so I find that it tends to settle pretty unevenly around the sides of the container. So if I had to guess, I would say that I'm probably down to about here. So I'm gonna let this settle a little bit more and hope that I'll be able to make a line at least by the next update. I really don't use a lot of this at a time. I use a pretty small dot just like on the inner bits right here, and then I will blend it out with a darker concealer, and so that helps to get something that is at least close enough to my natural skin tone for my tastes. So that's what I've been doing. So this is pretty slow going. So I think that despite the fact that I haven't used this a ton, I think that the next month is going to be a better barometer for like how things are going to go on a monthly basis, because I think once I get back into the classroom, I'm probably going to start using concealer a little bit more regularly and start making that part of my daily makeup routine, where I've been kind of hit or miss about it this month. So anyway, so that's sort of how that's been going. Okay, next up I have my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil. So when I brought this in I want to say May, I really hated it. In June, I had figured out that I needed to sort of set it down with a neutral eyeshadow before going in with like my transition and crease colors in order to prevent creasing, or at least buy myself a little bit more time before things creased. And so I said that I was going to keep it around till September, and then I was going to decide if I wanted to keep it or not. And I have decided to keep this because I have discovered that I do have a few formulas that this does work with. Now for the most part, if I do have a long day, I am going to reach for an eyeshadow primer. So I kind of expect that my progress on this is probably going to slow down once I head back to the classroom, just because I do have some longer days and some days where I probably am not going to want my eyeshadow to be creasing by 11 in the morning, which is what's going to happen if I wear this with some formulas. But I found actually that with drier matte formulas and a more smooth sort of satiny shimmer, like more traditional shimmer formulas, this actually does work quite nicely. So I'm wearing it with ColourPop today, and I feel like that has worked quite well. The top row of the ABH Carly Bible palette has worked, and some of their mattes work quite well with this too. So I think I am going to keep it around. It's probably just not going to be like my daily eyeshadow base the same way it has been for the summer. So having said that, I have used this 15 times since the last update. It definitely looks smaller to me, like it does look like it's shrinking, but I can also prove that it's shrinking because I have my notebook. And so I started this off and it was about here, and then I think you can see by September we are now down a little bit. So I might be a little bit below this now, but yeah. So that is how we're looking. So I am going to keep this in this project for the time being. Like I said, I don't expect to have like a ton of usage on it, but I'll probably still use it if I'm putting on makeup on the weekends or for some of my like shorter days. We'll see how it goes. I do expect progress on this to slow down a little bit, but I'm not going to get rid of it just yet. I think it is possible for me to finish it at some point over the next like probably year or so. Okay, next up I have my ColourPop Super Shock Blush in Between the Sheets. This has been in since the beginning, and y'all, I am like so close to hitting pan on this one. I sort of did the cream blush version of repressing this as of the last update. I did have a pretty massive pan on it, and then I squished it back into place. And so I don't know if you guys can see, there is this kind of like little divot right there, and that is actually, there is pan underneath there. So I've seen pan very briefly on this a couple times this week. I actually switched to using this with a brush, which is why it looks kind of gross. I found that that has worked out a lot better for me than using it with a beauty blender, and so I've used it a lot more. I have, my math says 24 uses since the last update, which seems a little bit high, but we're gonna go with it for 53 uses total. So that is how we're looking with this guy, and I'm calling it now. I think that there is going to be like a legitimate pan on this by the next update rather than just like a little tiny speck, and that would make me pretty happy, because generally I think the consensus is, and in my experience, once you hit pan on a repressed product, it means that the end is in sight. And I do like this, but I would like to just finish it up because it's not my favorite blush ever. It can be a little bit difficult to work with, and I like the color, but I also have other colors that I prefer on myself. So I'm just gonna sort of continue using this as like my daily blush if I don't know what else to reach for. Grab this and go, and then I'm hoping that I will have some more progress on this by the next update, and hopefully a fairly decent sized pan. So let's talk about my highlighter. So I rolled in this little Nudestix mini in the shade Bubbly Bebe as of the last update. I've used this 16 times, and I've used most of this. So I would say I'm about halfway done, maybe a little under halfway done. And so I'm pretty happy about this one, especially because I didn't expect to use this as much as I did, but I've actually been making this my daily, pretty much my daily highlighter for the most part. I'm wearing it today. It's probably not a shade that I would normally reach for with this eye look, but hey, I'm trying to finish this up. So we went for it. There has been actually quite a bit of progress on this one. So when I brought this in, it was pretty much new. I think I'd used it like 2 or 3 times. And so I am now right here. So I'm about halfway done. I'm hoping you guys can see. I am about halfway done, and I think at the rate I'm going, I think that this could potentially be done by the next update, which would make me pretty happy. It's not that I don't like this, it's just that it's a little bit too dark for me, and I find sometimes it can be like a little bit difficult to blend out. I feel like my window of opportunity to use this up before I'm too pale for it is like closing pretty quickly, especially because it's starting to cool down. I know that for the most part, I'm gonna be masked up for the fall, so I feel like now is a good time to finish this up and get it done and get it out of the way. So I'm thinking by next month this could be an empty, which would make me pretty happy because I feel like I say this every time I talk about highlighters, but it's definitely a problem category for me, and I am trying to get through a few of them. So getting this one out, I feel like, is a pretty easy and attainable goal, at least for over the next couple of weeks. And I also like didn't purchase this myself. This was a gift with purchase that I couldn't opt out of, and I didn't have anybody else in my life that I could pass it along to. So I was like, well, I'll use it and put it in pan and try to get rid of it. So that is what we are going to be doing. Okay, now we're getting into the zone of less progress. So I'm going to start off with my Sephora liquid lip cream in the shade Black Racer Bay. This has also been in for quite some time. I've used this 2 additional times this month for 17 uses total in this project. And listen, like, it was just not a month for like statement lip colors. I was either recovering from surgery or in the lab, and I was masked up. So, you know, I haven't reached for this a lot. I do hope that in the fall I will be getting some more use out of this. Yeah, I think August, a color like this in August was just not really working out. So I do want to use this a few more times over September. Like I say this every time. I think every time I talk about this, I do want to get it finished at some point, but I'm not like necessarily rushing it because I do really enjoy this, and I know that I reach for this color pretty consistently in the fall. So I do think as it starts to cool down and we start to see some more leaves changing, I'll probably be reaching for this more, mask or no. So that's how I feel about this one. And yeah, I do want to use this like probably 4 or 5 times between now and the next update, but I'm not pushing it too hard, you know? Okay, so next up I have my e.l.f. cream gel liner, and I've been working on this one for quite a while. I haven't reached for it a ton this month because I've been doing a lot of like fast easy makeup, and this is not necessarily always the easiest to use, at least on my textured eyelids. So I've used this 6 additional times this month for 17 uses total, and honestly I feel like it looks the same. I've just been sort of working around the sides and stuff, and I'm wearing it today, but I do think that I will be reaching for this more often once I head back to the classroom. I'm more likely to wear eyeliner if I'm like actually going places, but if I'm just at home I usually don't bother. I'll just do mascara and eyeshadow and call it a day. So I do think that the progress on this will probably at least numerically increase over the next month or so, and that'll probably give me a better sense of like how many uses total. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to hit pan on this one, although I generally tend to go around the sides more than like down, but we'll sort of just see how it goes. I'm just trying to figure out if I like this enough to want to keep it or if I want to get rid of it. I am just trying to get use out of it anywhere I can, basically. Okay, next up I have my ABH Brow Wiz in the shade Auburn. I rolled this in last month. I've used it 7 times. There's not a whole lot of progress on this, which is absolutely what I expected. I just have not been feeling like doing my brows this month for obvious reasons. And also I just find like the thing with field courses is that they're pretty dressed down and they're pretty formal. So if I'm wearing makeup, like I'm definitely not going to be doing my brows. So that sort of also played into that. I also usually wear this mostly when I'm filming, and I haven't been filming a lot this month. So that's sort of why there hasn't been a ton of progress, but I do actually have some movement. So it's this guy right here, and we are now down a little bit, so nothing too crazy. But I think as I start to get more back on like a filming schedule and stuff and sorting that out over the next like couple of weeks, I think I will probably end up using this a little bit more. I don't see myself doing my brows every single day, especially for my earlier classes, but it might happen now and again. But I still want to commit to doing my brows every time I film, and maybe a few times in between, and I'll be happy with that. I feel like I've sort of left my brows alone, and I feel like they've grown back to a point where I don't feel like I need a brow pencil as much as I did like a couple months ago. But anyway, so we're just going to continue working on this, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more movement by the next update. Okay, also in the zone of no progress, my KVD liquid lipstick in the shade Ola. I've worn this once since the last update, and so I've used this twice since putting it into this project. I have a 10 usage goal, so this is not going super well for me, but again, August has been a weird month. So I think that I will be reaching for this more over the next like couple of months or so. I do really like a good red lip. I just haven't really been feeling like wearing one. So I do want to get a couple more uses out of this between now and the next update, which I think is very doable. I would like to get to like 5 uses and get to like at least half my usage goal by the next update, which I think that's a doable thing. Start small and work from there. Okay, and second last, I have my e.l.f. Sheer Slick in the shade Wild Peach. So I rolled this in last update, and I haven't actually been tracking uses on this because I've pretty much been just wearing this as like a lip balm around the house. This is a very bright pink, which I don't feel like is the most flattering on me, and it's not something that I would necessarily feel super comfy wearing out of the house, so I've just been trying to use it up wearing it as a lip balm. So I've worn it, I would estimate, probably 5 or 6 times, and I usually will touch it up throughout the day when my lips sort of get dry, but I didn't really expect to have like a ton of progress on this, and I was pleasantly surprised when I went to go mark things down. So I started off right here in August, and then we are now down to here, so honestly more movement there than I expected, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then I think I'll probably continue to get about the same amount of use out of this for the next couple of months going forward. And last but not least, I have my KVD Alchemist Palette in the shade Blue Sapphire. So I have used this 5 times since the last update for 9 uses total since rolling it in, and I feel like there is a slightly more defined dip. I will tell you what really has a dip, because I've been wearing it a lot, is Pink Opal. But I haven't been reaching for Blue Sapphire as much, but I do want to fix that. I think this is one of those things that I can use like on my collarbones and shoulders. I've been doing that quite a lot, so that's how I've been getting use out of it. I think with Pink Opal, I feel like I'm gonna hit pan on that over the next few weeks, so then hopefully that will give me like a general sense of how deep these pans are and how long it might possibly take me to hit pan on Blue Opal, because I would like to obviously pan this and roll something else in before the end of the year, but blues are kind of harder to use, so we'll see how it goes. But I think this is one of those things that I could like put on my collarbones underneath a sweater and stuff and get some use out of it that way, put it on my cheekbones and have a mask on, nobody can tell. So that kind of stuff is probably how I will use it over the next little while. So I would like to use this like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times, just kind of like step it up over the next like couple of weeks, and then hopefully I will have a little bit more of a dip. So those are all of my items. Predictably, my 21 and 21 count has not moved at all. I am still at 27 finished items. I have 4 left on my list. 2 of those are nail polishes. One of those is my ColourPop Super Shock, and then the other one is my Blackberry Sorbet liquid lipstick. So I think it's going to be maybe a couple more months before I have any of those finished, but we're going to just sort of keep on chipping away at them as they go. So I'm not entirely surprised or disappointed by this. So I think that is pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're still here, if you're doing this project, let me know down below how yours is going. If you haven't already subscribed and you want to see more videos from me, I upload new beauty videos roughly once a week for right now. So if that floats your boat, consider hitting that subscribe button, liking the video if you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!